When did I know that she was the one? When did I know? She heard the story. Basically, for one, I think everybody kind of has a checklist, and she pretty much fulfilled all the requirements in the checklist. But I think when you find the one, you throw out the list altogether. Like, now she's my list. And so when I stopped caring about stats, I stopped caring about what she has, what she is, what she isn't. And I was just like, I just want to be with her. And I'm willing to do anything to be with her. You know, I don't want to wait around or sacrifice or end up losing her. Like, that's when I knew she was the one, because I never felt that way about anybody. You know, I was like, you know, marriage would be a good look, or she would be a good wife. But when I was like, nah, I want to be with her, and I want to do everything in my power to be with her, and I can't imagine my life without her, that's when I felt like she was the one. We dated for about, 5 months before I knew.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
When did I know? I want to say there wasn't like a specific moment, but I would say, when you contacted me and let me know that you had gotten robbed. And not that I didn't love you before, because I did love you before, but as far as knowing whether or not you were the one, I think that moment kind of solidified it for me. Just thinking that I could have woken up that next day and you not be here. And to never be able to experience anything with you again, just kind of let me know that I didn't want to live life without you or do it without you. So I think that was the moment for me.
I think that was romantic.
You're stupid.
Woo.
Oh,
Lord.
so extra.
But I would agree. It would be when I did get robbed at gunpoint. 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah, 16. I got robbed at gunpoint. And she, after my dad, because he was here, but she was like the next person I called. So she knew before my mom or anybody else. And they stole my phone, so I had to go on Facebook and, you know, just tell her. She called my job crying, like just so concerned. And I guess knowing somebody cares about you that much, you know, and she told her family, her father called me and tried to counsel me because he went through something similar. And it was just, I guess I felt overwhelmed with the amount of love I received, you know, and I felt like this, if I was to go through anything traumatic or anything in my life, this is the person I want to go through it with. And at that point I was like, yeah, I can do life with her. Advice for singles. Oh man. What you think, babe?
What advice would you give for singles? Who I am? You can go ahead. What advice would you give? He probably gonna take all my answers, but go ahead.
I'm not. I'm gonna be no.
All right. Go ahead.
Singles. It is. Don't worry about a timeline. It's more important who you marry than when you marry.
Mm-hmm.
God's time is God's time. You gotta think like you're gonna live the rest of your life with another person, and so singleness is not a punishment. It's a blessing. The more you can know yourself and, you know, propel yourself as an individual, the better. And so, you know, I'd rather live 10 more years single than to be divorced and have to start over again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, for those of y'all who are starting over, you know, definitely take this time to get to know yourself and, you know, establish who you are again as an individual. But, you know, definitely, one, don't worry about lists, and two, don't worry about time, because you got plenty of time to be married and make kids and do all that great stuff.
I would agree. Since you named two, I guess I'll name two. One for me would be to enjoy being single because it is okay to be selfish. It is. That is the one time in your life when you don't have to worry about anybody but yourself. You don't have to run things by anybody but yourself. You live your life how you want. You can spend your money how you want. You can go where you want, and you don't have to go to anybody else to discuss anything. And I think sometimes we move so fast to be married, and you want somebody physically there that you look up and you get married, and you don't cherish those times when you can just do things by yourself and enjoy you time and get to know you. So that would definitely be one. The other one for me would be, make sure you have a good foundation in regards to your relationship with Christ before you get into something serious. And the reason I say that is because even for me, I think initially it was, I had a good relationship with Christ and living out my walk, but it's so easy to get distracted if you aren't where you need to be in your walk when somebody physically is there to replace that. So you get people that are like, I want to grow closer to God, and I want to do what he's called me to do, and I want to be who he's called me to be. But I have this physical person who's now here, and God isn't physically here, but he meets all of my needs because we can talk to each other on the phone, and we can go to the movies, and all of a sudden you forget that you were supposed to be spending time with God, and he was supposed to be your first priority. And now this physical man is here, and he's taking up more attention that God ultimately is worthy of and deserves it. So I would say just make sure that your relationship with Christ is where it needs to be, because once you link up with a partner, it's going to be that much harder to make sure that you're setting aside time for just God. So
Good, man.
Thanks.
Advice for couples planning a wedding. What I would say is, make sure your wedding is exactly what you want. You're not getting married for anybody else. It's just a covenant between you and your spouse or your future spouse. So make sure that nobody tries to dictate or manipulate what you want for that day. Make sure it's feasible, like don't be balling out of control for no reason.
Because you got bills the day after that wedding is over. So remember that.
Right.
they keep coming.
Like life don't stop
It
just because
does
you
not
got
stop.
married. But just do what's suitable for you. If you want to go to Justice of the Peace and that's it, do that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go big and grand and all this stuff and have the wedding of the year, do it, But just do what's suitable to what you and your spouse want. What do you think, babe?
I would say, and I think an area where we had to learn to get to a good place was separating wedding time and relationship time. Because I think once you're planning a wedding, especially being long distance, because we didn't get a lot of time together, and so with him being in one place and me being in one place, and just naturally me having to do a lot by myself because the wedding was where I'm from, it took up a lot of my time. And so that was all I thought about. And because he was, living regular life and working and all of that, that wasn't in the forefront of his mind. So when we would get together, I would want to talk about all of these things that I have to do for the wedding. And he's like, but I just want to talk to you. Like, I just want to see how you're doing and talk about us and communicate. And so just find time that you say, hey, this is time we're going to talk about the wedding. This is all we're going to do. And then once we've talked about it, we're done. And we just need to focus on us and our relationship. Because once that wedding is over, marriage starts. And you want to start on a good foundation. So many people are worried about having a great wedding that they get into it and their marriage isn't too hot. So,
yeah. And oh man, I was about to say something great. But for all the couples that are engaged, like things change. Things definitely change. The stakes are definitely higher when you're engaged, and I think it's by design. But certain things that you might let roll off your back when you're dating, now you're thinking, can I spend the rest of my life with this? Like, how is this going to play out? And so now you have a lower tolerance for different things. Your communication changes, because now you're actually working on something together for the first time. And so how now you see how the other person works, how they think, their taste, you know, how it may differ. And so communication has to be like, you know, this is like the testing for real for a marriage. And I didn't want a big wedding, but I'm thankful for a big wedding because it really had us, you know, made us grow, and we had to have a lot of hard and tough conversations and disagreements.
I like how hard you said that.
But you know, when it got to after the wedding, now we communicate better than we did when we were dating.
Yeah.
And so, because of everything that the wedding took and everything that I appreciate her for with the wedding, I think our transition was a lot smoother going into married life. But that's just me. You know, some of y'all, we came from a long distance situation, so we needed that. You know.
And I think plans just change. Like, just being open to the fact that plans change. Because I know when we were just speaking hypothetically of what we wanted our wedding to look like, when we weren't even engaged yet, it was something smaller and something more family oriented. But I think we forget that life takes place. Yeah. And so within that time of, you know, us just hypothetically talking about a wedding and us actually becoming engaged, a lot of stuff happened. Like, his mom was diagnosed with cancer, and my nephew passed away, and all of that. And so you realize how important family really is. And so although we may have wanted something small, a big wedding was necessary. It just was something awesome that we could focus on, that our families and friends could be a part of, to just celebrate us. And so it was worth it. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was a process, but it was worth it. We won't ever do it again.
Never. But fellas, let me talk to you. But I guess for the couples who are going through that process right now, just know it is worth it at the end. And also for the guys, you know, I don't think as a person or as a guy, I'll just say as a person, but I'm not really big on, I guess, vision and how things, like if I can't see how it looks, then it's hard for me to subscribe to it. And so I gave a lot of pushback to her. And I was being difficult. I'm sorry, man. But it was like once I was there and I saw it and I was able to experience everything that she was talking about, you know, then I was like, oh, I get it now. This is definitely worth it. I see why, you know, you fought so hard for this, you know? And so it's just certain things where I couldn't see it until I was there and I saw it. Like inviting as many people as I invited, it didn't mean much to me because I, you know, had to pay for their plate. But when I got there and saw how many people supported and how many people loved us and everything, and how many people came, you know, bought a plane ticket, bought a rental car, bought a hotel room, bought a gift.
Paid to be in the wedding.
Yeah, some people paid to be in the wedding, you know, rent tux, buy dresses, you know, get their children ready. Like, you know, just to see how many people were actually down for us and how many people actually worked to be at the wedding for us, you know, you know, it was very humbling, very humbling just to see that and just to be surrounded by so much love, you know, as we made our union, you know, it was definitely worth it at the end of the day. What's one thing you learned about yourself once you got married?
What's our last question?
Yeah, this is it.
Go ahead.
Ooh, one thing?
Yeah. I mean, if you were just telling yourself, you can, but.
I would say that I may not be the most effective communicator in the sense that sometimes, like with her, she really cares about presentation, how things are brought to her, and what it looks like, you know. And so me, I'm all about content. I try to see past all that stuff, you know, and just like, okay, what are you saying, you know? And so with me living alone for so long and, you know, not having to communicate a lot, you know, I really struggle to this day just about how I should say things, when I should say things, when certain opportunities come. Okay, when should I check in with my wife because we live together and kind of do this life thing together? So she should probably know, you know, about every move that I'm about to make before before I make it, you know? And so I realized that communication is, you know, I struggle with it. I struggle with, one, checking in on her every sense, but also how I do it. Because if you say, you know, if you bring forth the wrong presentation, then she doesn't hear anything I'm saying, you know? And that just caused more strife between us. And so just learning how to more or less consider her when I ask, and consider her just in basic stuff, you know. That's one thing that I learned that I've struggled in.
I think for me, it would still be along the lines of communication. I am not proud of it, but I'm great at being silent. So when I have a difficult time processing something, it's just easier for me to shut off, shut down, and won't say anything. And so I learned that. I knew that, but I think when you are living with someone day to day, that has literally become your mirror, and they tell you things about yourself whether you like them or not, things that you probably already knew about yourself but you didn't want to admit it. You can't hide from it anymore. And so realizing that being silent and giving the silent treatment is not effective in regards of communication and understanding another person. And it may have worked for me before, but it's not going to work anymore. And so I have to find another way to communicate, because it isn't going to benefit me as an individual, or us in our marriage, or me in relationships with people in general. And so just being able to communicate in a way that allows me to get my point across, but also he's able to understand and he's willing to be receptive. Because if I'm being silent, he's not going to be receptive to that. Like, nobody wants to be around the house with somebody who's just going to ignore him all day. And so just learning to be a better communicator and voice when I'm struggling with something, and not be quick to be so silent and keep it to myself. So that would be one thing that I've learned about myself.
Yeah. So we're still young in this marriage thing.
We are.
Glad y'all had a chance to meet my wife. Y'all can request to see her again, but
Probably won't be a whole lot of that.
probably won't.
Nah.
But just know, ladies, I'm sorry that I'm off the market.
You're so stupid.
If y'all have any questions for us or for me, you can just leave them in the comments. Just like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and by all means, let us know if you learned anything, or let us know if you have any other wisdom for singles or for married couples, or for us in particular. God bless you.